Okay, so I'm ready to work on my woven wheel, and woven wheels, depending on the size of them, can have anywhere from 3 to 7 to 9 spokes. It's always going to be an odd number, and you just do your spokes by doing a straight stitch on each one. Woven wheels can also be done in a number of strands. I often use 12 strands, and you can either do 12 or 6. This is a smaller one, so 6 is still enough to do this one, but I'm going to do mine in 12. I am doing my spokes in only 6 strands though, and then I'm going to show you how to double up your thread if you didn't already see the instructions in your booklet on that. And so we'll do 6 strands for our spokes, and then I'll show you to double up your strands, and we'll do 12 strands for our actually woven wheel. You can do 6 strands if you prefer, but I really like using 12 strands for my woven wheels, so I wanted to show you how to do that. This one might be a little small for 12 strands, but I still probably would use that. I almost always use 12 strands. So I'm just going to tie off, and then I'll show you how to double up your thread. So typically when we stitch with 6 strands, you can either, or any even number of strands, you can just thread the number of strands you have, leave like this little tail at the eye of your needle, and then tie your end. But when we double up our strands, we actually take half the number of our desired stitch strand number, and we thread that through our needle. So in this case, we're looking for 12 strands. So we've threaded 6 strands, and then we fold it over at the eye, take the 2 ends, and just quickly knot them together. And then we've doubled up our thread so that at the eye of our needle where we're stitching, we have 12 strands. So once you've got 12 strands on your needle, or 6, your choice, we're just gonna come up between 2 spokes, and you're just gonna follow this over-under pattern where we're just gonna weave around our woven wheel. So it doesn't matter if you start with an over or an under first. In this case, I've started over, gone under my next one, then we're gonna go over that spoke. So you're basically just skipping a spoke to go under every time, and then going around your circle. As you get back to where you started, it'll be the opposite of what you did on your first turn around. So because it's an odd number, it'll change every time you go around the circle. Oops, sorry, I'm just fixing my stand. It'll change as you go around. So I went over the first time around and under the second. The first row to the second row that I do of my woven wheel, I typically make it quite tight, the tension, just to fill in so that I'm covering all those spokes. Just filling in all the spokes underneath. And then as I get out a little bit more, I just basically stop when I feel the tension, when I've pulled all the tension out. So in this case, I've covered the spoke, so I'm just going to gently pull it. And the key to this is keeping the same tension throughout your pattern. You want to have the same tension as you go around. And really gently pulling, really slowly pulling. Sometimes this loop of your thread will get caught on stuff, and you want to prevent that by going really slow. You want to prevent that jolt of when it gets stuck on something, because as you can see, all of this is dependent on the tension. So if I all of a sudden gave this like a really strong tug, I'm going to change the tension of my whole wheel because each stitch isn't actually anchored. So just going to follow ourselves all the way around. And you can just keep going until you've covered all of the spokes. And as you get around, what will happen is once you start to cover the spokes, your stitches won't be able to go out any further. So what typically starts to happen is you will notice that your wheel will start going up. So it'll start giving it more dimension and going up towards a 3D look. And I love that. So I often will take as many turns around my wheel as I possibly can to get as much depth as I can. But to finish your woven wheel, once you're ready and once you've felt like you've completed as much as you want, you're just going to stitch down. I often try to make it appear like I'm just going down under another spoke. So I'll find my spot where I would have ducked under, and then it creates kind of like you don't know exactly where it stops and where it starts. So that is your woven wheel in 12 strands.